Have you ever asked yourself why the man on one knee in the middle of a crowded restaurant holding up that shining ring isn't actually the winner? Why that moment celebrated as the pinnacle of romance is in reality a ritual of surrender? People see the woman's tears, the applause echoing through the room, and they call it true love. But if you look deeper, you'll see something colder, a contract, a transaction. A man buying approval, and the price is almost always higher than he imagines. The real question isn't, does she love him? The real question is, has he paid enough to be accepted? And if you believe that's romance, maybe you've never understood the brutal game that modern society has set up. Because in this game, love isn't love anymore. It's a packaged product sold through the blood, sweat, and insecurities of men. And the most dangerous part, most men don't even realize they're being manipulated the very moment they start believing in that so-called dream of love. Let's face the truth. Modern men are living in a culture that has turned their weaknesses into a trillion-dollar industry. From diamond rings to fine dining to luxury weekend getaways, every single piece of it is designed to squeeze the most primal male fear, the fear of not being enough. From the time they're kids, men are trained by Hollywood films, sappy ballads, and fairy tales to believe if you love her enough, if you sacrifice enough, then you'll be chosen. Sounds like a promise, but in reality it's a trap. A trap that keeps men endlessly paying not just with money but with time, energy, and ultimately with their very sense of self. This isn't romance. It's an invisible tax society has placed on men. Don't believe me? Just look at almost any relationship around you. Who plans the dates, pays the bills, remembers anniversaries, thinks of the surprises? Always the man. And if he forgets just once, his entire worth is suddenly in question. The hidden message is brutal. A man only has value if he constantly proves it through offerings. And here's the cruel paradox. The harder men try to prove their worth, the more they lose their natural attraction. Women may say they appreciate the caring guy, the romantic guy who pays attention. But watch their actual choices. When faced with two options, the poetic guy, writing love letters but struggling financially, or the man with a solid career who commands his own life, who do they pick? The truth is harsh. They pick power. They pick security. They pick the man who doesn't have to buy love with fireworks of emotion. This isn't new. It's carved into human evolution. For thousands of years, women tied their survival to men with competent strength and resources. A man desperate to please, pouring out his soul unconsciously, broadcasts scarcity and insecurity, and that has never been truly attractive. But modern society found a way to hack that instinct. It packaged a sweet story called romance, and men thought they were playing the right game. In reality, they were acting out a script where men are forced to audition and women sit as the judges. Do you see the injustice? A contest where you're placed as a contestant from the very beginning while she holds the power of approval. Worse still, this game has no finish line. It's a loop with no escape. You've seen husbands drained, even in debt, just to prove I still love you with some extravagant trip. You've seen men grind at work not to build a future for themselves, but to maintain the illusion that the more I give, the more I'll be loved. That is the silent tragedy no one dares to say out loud. And here's the thing that's just the surface. In the next part, I'll show you why this game doesn't just exhaust men, but also poisons women, turning love into nothing more than a cold marketplace. But pause for a second and ask yourself, if this game drains men, why do women still play along? Because they too are victims of a script written by society that casts them as gatekeepers in an endless bidding war for love. From the time they're little girls, they're taught their value lies in being chosen, that the more men prove their love, the higher their worth. And so they end up locked in a golden cage, forced to sit on the throne, waiting for knights to bring their offerings. The problem is that throne may look powerful, but it's empty. Many women aren't even sure if they truly want the flowers, the candlelit dinners, or if they've just been brainwashed into believing a good woman must be treated like a princess. And men, they play their part, hoping to be recognized. This isn't love anymore. It's two actors on a stage. One performs tricks, the other claps. And when both sides are acting, what gets lost? Authenticity, spontaneity. That raw spark that made two people desire each other in the first place evaporates, replaced by carefully choreographed scenes. That's why so many couples who look perfect on the outside, posting romantic pictures, smiling at fancy dinners, end up broken, lonely, and disconnected. Because deep down, they were never truly connected. They were just partners in a project called keeping up the image of love. Let me be blunt, this system destroys both men and women. Men get reduced to providers while women become judges, and both walk away empty. You've seen women who seem to have it all, the big diamond ring, the beautiful house, the dream vacations, but still feel hollow, restless, unloved. That's the consequence. You've also seen men who worked themselves into the ground, paid for everything, yet still got left behind. That too is the consequence. Modern psychology calls it the hedonic treadmill, the endless chase for pleasure. Humans adapt so quickly to what they have that yesterday's luxury becomes today's bare minimum. Apply this to love, and you see the trap clearly. The more men spend, the more elaborate their gestures, the higher women's expectations climb. Not because they're greedy, but because the human brain is wired to always want more. It's a treadmill with no stop button. Today, you buy flowers she's touched. Tomorrow, it has to be dinner at a fine restaurant. Next week, a vacation. Next month, the latest gadget. And the moment you stop, the only thing remembered is the one time you didn't deliver, not the 99 times you did. Love becomes a corporate performance review. Here's the bitter irony. The system itself has convinced women that love must be expensive to be real. Yet what they truly crave deep down is safety, connection, and being seen. But when performance becomes the standard, true intimacy is pushed aside. Men and women step onto the stage, and love quietly dies behind the curtain. And if you think this only affects individuals, just wait for the next part. I'll reveal how society, Hollywood, advertising, even luxury brands has weaponized romance to bleed men dry while turning women into unconscious marketing tools. And that's where the knife cuts the deepest. You know what's really happening? There's an entire army working behind the scenes of those love songs, those romantic comedies, those glowing ads with candlelight and champagne. That army doesn't care about your love. They don't care whether you and her actually connect. They care about one thing: your wallet. And they've mastered the art of turning a man's fear of loneliness into a global market. Just look at the numbers. The average engagement ring in America costs the equivalent of 2 months' salary. The average wedding swallows more than an entire year's income. Holidays like Valentine's Day, Christmas anniversaries, each one carefully marketed as a duty of love. But duty to whom? To the woman you care about, or to Tiffany's Godiva and the 5-star restaurants that laugh behind the curtain? It's no accident that Hollywood keeps feeding you the same story. The real man is the one who spends, who sacrifices, who does the big gestures. Remember those rom-coms where the guy runs across the city with flowers or screams, "I love you," in the middle of an airport? On screen, it's romantic. In real life, TSA would probably have you in handcuffs before she even turns around. That's not love, that's a script written to make you the paying customer buying tickets that cost far more than you think. Society has planted a subtle message: if you don't spend, you're stingy. If you don't perform, you don't care. And men, instead of questioning it, run harder. They take extra shifts, work late nights, hustle, not to build a life they want, but to fuel a stage show that was set up long before they arrived. The deeper tragedy: when men accept those rules, they don't just lose money, they lose themselves. They're taught their worth doesn't come from strength, vision, or the ability to command their own life, but from how many candles, flowers, and trips they can buy. They become walking bank accounts with feelings. And any man who refuses to play the role gets branded. You don't love enough, you're selfish, you're immature. Women don't win either. They're turned into marketing tools. Every Instagram photo of a diamond ring isn't just a romantic moment. It's free advertising for the diamond industry. Every story of dinner at a luxury restaurant isn't just our love. It's a banner ad for fine dining. Women unknowingly become brand ambassadors while men pay for the campaign. And here's the danger. This loop makes both sides forget the most important question. What does love actually mean? When every gesture is measured by receipts, even real moments feel fake. Do you love her, or are you just following the checklist? Does she feel truly connected, or is she just ticking the boxes society handed her? The brutal truth, this isn't love anymore. It's a billion-dollar entertainment industry where every kiss, every dinner, every promise has a price tag. And men, no matter how smart, educated, or strong, if they're not awake, get sucked in like gamblers chasing the next win. But don't think it's just about money. No, the real price is far heavier. It's not just your wallet, it's your freedom. It's your soul. This system trains you to live like a contestant who has to audition forever just to keep the role. And in the next part, I'll cut even deeper into the psychology why men can't walk away even when they know they're being played. By now you might be asking yourself, if I already know I'm being played, why is it so hard to walk away? The answer lies inside your own brain in the unconscious psychological mechanisms that have chained men for thousands of years. And to break free, you have to see them clearly. Start with dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. Every time you hand her flowers and she smiles, dopamine hits, and it feels intoxicating like a quick shot of a drug. But here's the trap. Dopamine doesn't give lasting happiness. It fuels anticipation for the next hit. In other words, you become like a lab rat pressing the lever again and again for that fleeting reward. Society has cleverly turned women into that lever. You're not really in love, you're addicted to approval. Then there's the attachment style. Men who've been rejected, abandoned, or hurt often develop anxious attachment. Deep down, they fear abandonment so much that they overcompensate, constantly proving themselves, constantly giving, terrified that if they stop, she'll leave. This unconscious loop throws them right into the trap of romance. The more they fear losing her, the more they feed the system. Men think they're fighting for love, but really they're reliving an old childhood wound while paying the tuition for a script that never changes. Add in the scarcity effect. Society tells you that high-value women are rare, that scarcity triggers your brain to inflate their worth while you see yourself as ordinary, so you try to compensate with flowers, dinners, gifts. The irony. Most of this scarcity is manufactured, built by culture films and social media. But unconsciously, men buy into it and they sell their souls just to not miss their chance. And then comes cognitive dissonance. When you've invested so much money, time, emotion, your brain refuses to admit it might all be for nothing. Like the gambler who's lost 10 rounds, you keep betting because facing the loss feels unbearable. Men don't want to admit that all the effort and sacrifice only bought them temporary approval, so they keep going. They have to keep going because stopping would force them to face the emptiness. All these forces combine to build a prison with no bars. It's built from dopamine, from childhood wounds, from cultural illusions, from the fear of loneliness. Men can see the door, but when they move toward it, a voice whispers, "If you stop, you'll lose her. If you stop, you'll be alone." So they return to the wheel, running, but never arriving. That's the cruelest tragedy. Not only does it bleed men dry, it strips them of who they are. Love turns into a competition, and men live as contestants forever. And women, rather than having a man who's free, strong, and whole, end up with a fearful competitor begging for points. Love becomes a scoreboard. And here's the truth you have to swallow. No one is coming to save you from this prison. There's no Hollywood happy ending for men in this game. There is only one way out. You have to break the chains yourself. You have to stare down loneliness, risk the loss, and reclaim yourself. In the final part, I'll deliver the emotional strike, the pain, the awakening, the solitude, and the freedom, because that's where the real beginning of manhood lies. So here we are at the end. And if you're still here listening, it means a part of you has already begun to wake up. Maybe it's the part that's tired of chasing approval, the part that's exhausted from being treated like an ATM with a heartbeat, the part that knows love can't be bought, performed, or sustained through kneeling and bouquets. This truth hurts. It rips away the sweet illusion of forever love. It leaves you with emptiness, like the ground just gave way beneath your feet. But listen to me, inside that emptiness is your chance to finally see yourself. In the silence of that loneliness, you hear the one voice that matters, your own. Not the voices of advertising, not Hollywood scripts, not the applause of strangers. A man is not defined by what he buys. A man is defined by his ability to stand alone without fear, without begging, without performance. When you strip away the glossy paint of industrial romance, what remains isn't loss, it's freedom. Freedom to love for real. Freedom to be chosen not because you paid the highest price, but because you stood as yourself. And if you feel that truth stirring inside you, don't keep it to yourself. We live in a time where men are silently collapsing every single day because they never hear this truth. If you've woken up, become the mirror for another man to wake too. Share this message not as a fan, but as a brother in arms. Because the truth is, this love was never meant to be bought. It was meant to be lived. And when a man dares to break the chains of illusion, he doesn't just find love, he finds his soul again.